Coughing is a basic defense mechanism that helps clear bacteria and viruses from the respiratory system. More often than not, coughing is not serious and should clear up in a week or two, and in some cases may be a sign of a more serious illness. We chat to Dr. Darren Green about the causes of a cough and how we can treat it. Welcome to The Loft, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
Now, Doctor, let's start with what is a cough?
Yeah, a cough is a protective mechanism, a reflex reaction that the body actually institutes when it perceives that there's anything that can threaten your airway. And your airway obviously is responsible for inhaling oxygen that gets into your blood and then supplies the vital organs with oxygen, like your brain, for example, oxygen in the blood to be pumped around to all the different parts of your body that need oxygen to function. So a cough basically is a protective mechanism that when breathing in and when there's any threat of that airway, it kicks in to clear the airway, to open up that pipe so that oxygen and air can move in and out of the lungs freely.
Looking at acute cases of a cough, what are the common causes for coughs?
If you look at it structurally, you've got a pipe, which is the airway, obviously, and the mouth connects to that pipe at the back of the throat. So you start off with things that can block the airway, and that could be anything from swallowing a sweet or a wine gum in terms of obstruction. So foreign bodies, whether that be a toy, a piece of a toy, a car, or even food when you're busy talking and eating at the same time. So a foreign body would be the main cause of obstruction there. Then you could also have irritants and particles in the air that you inhale when you're busy taking a walk or a cycle, for example. And then, of course, you also get the mucus itself that can act as an obstruction when it becomes thick and forms a mass or a blob, so to say, in the airway, and then can prohibit then the free movement of air around that and irritate the airway. And then, of course, you also get other causes of cough that affect the skin of that pipe that I'm describing. So things that irritate the lining of the airway pipe would be things like inflammation that's caused by infections, by bacteria, by viruses, even by inhaling chemical irritants that irritate that lining of the airway. And then, of course, you get allergic reactions where that membrane of that pipe can swell and actually swell to cause gross impairment of breathing and cut off the movement of air in some of those tubules. So important to understand obstruction, the lining of the pipe itself, and then other weird causes of cough can also be things like reflux disease, where acid from the stomach actually makes its way all up the esophagus to the back of the throat, causes irritation and swelling that then irritates the airway as well.
Okay, Doctor, it seems like we now understand all things cough-related, but, you know, I don't know if it's paranoia or what plays with the mind, but is a cough contagious?
No, so the cough itself is not contagious. Remember, depending on the cause. If the cause, as I mentioned earlier, was an infectious cause, like a virus or a flu-like illness, then obviously by spreading your droplets to the person that's exposed, you could introduce them to the same infection. But most common colds that present with a light cough normally clear themselves up with your immune system intact within 10 days. So important to understand that differentiating feature.
Okay, makes sense to me, Doc. Now, what is the best way to treat a cough?
So first things first, I think remember that if the cause is related to the mucus and that slimy secretion, obviously, that irritates your throat, hydrating. So drinking enough fluids and water might help to thin out that mucus if you aren't hydrating enough. Secondly, avoid areas that are cold, areas where there are noxious fumes like smoke and brightflace smoke and cigarette smoke that could irritate the airway even more and induce the coughing. You'll find when you walk past cold fridges in supermarkets, when you've got a mild cold and irritated airway, you cough more. So at nighttime, coughing is then often worse as well. And then, of course, also consider anything that could be an allergy that triggers your postnasal drip and your allergies in terms of closing up the airway. Avoid areas like that. And for some people, that could be dust, it could be cats, it could be obviously going into the attic, for example. So avoid those areas as well. And then obviously you need to treat your cause of your cough appropriately so that you can try and speed things up.
Always go to the root there, not just the symptoms. I love that, Doctor. So lastly, when should we see a doctor?
So when your cough, for example, keeps you awake at night and you can't even sleep because of chronic cough, if you don't sleep and get enough rest and you can't even eat appropriately in between, your immunity is going to crash. You're going to get worse. And then obviously if the infection is associated with things like fever that is persistent, shortness of breath is another big one, because certain lung processes like pneumonia, an infection in the lungs, obviously can also contribute towards you feeling short of breath and coughing, coughing up secretions, for example. You would need to go and present to your practitioner for an evaluation and to also decide whether you need to be treated at home as an outpatient or need even further step-up therapy as an inpatient in hospital.
Perfect. It sounds like the perfect treatment and a way forward to heal yourselves, not only from coughs, but also for flu-like symptoms. We appreciate you, Doctor, for giving us all the news.
Thank you.
Brought to you by DILINCT Junior, a cough syrup specially formulated for alleviating coughs in young children. DILINCT Junior is sugar and alcohol-free and recommended for children 2 years and older. DILINCT Junior clears a wet cough and thins and loosens chest mucus. Suitable for children from the age of 2 years.